Welcome. We are live. We are going to be doing a home buyers Q&A session. We're going to be discussing whether right now is a good time to buy or should we wait. Hi, I am Kevin Jefferson, the People's Lender. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. For those of you who are returning to the channel, welcome. And we're going to get into it tonight to discuss home ownership, changes going on in the real estate market. And what I want to do is answer some questions that you guys have. So if you have questions and you're watching, drop them in the chat. My moderator will pull them up for us and I will answer them to the best of my ability. So, one thing that is going on in the real estate market, I think a lot of people hear or know, is that on July the 1st, they're going to be changing the way that real estate agents show their compensation, right? They're not technically changing what the compensation is. It's going to be changing how their compensation is shown. So prior to now, majority real estate agents may not have buyers sign a buyer's agency agreement, meaning when you sign that agreement with that real estate professional, you as the buyer are locked into working with them for X amount of time, right? Um, However, now NAR, National Association of Realtor, has changed the way that compensation is put into the system. Went through a huge lawsuit, 450, $418 million. It cost NAR to settle for this. Uh, and now they're going to be changing the practice. Get myself together. They're going to be changing the practice of how agents may receive their compensation. Right now, prior to July 1st of this year, forever and a day, they've always had the compensation in the MLS, which is the multiple listing system, saying, hey, the buyer's agent will receive X amount of percentage of the sales price as compensation for helping the seller sell their property, bringing it buyer. That agreement is initially worked out with the listing agent who represents the seller, and then they split that typically 50-50, not always the case, but typically 50-50 with the buyer. There's never been a set amount of money that they had to charge. It's never been 6%, 7%, 8%, right? The sellers went in and someone started a class action suit. With the class action suit, some of the big brands settled because they didn't want, to go to court or to be, to lose. So they settled their losses. Some paid 50 million, some paid 60 million, some 40 million. However, the National Association of Realtors settled for 418 million, right? A lot of people think that sales prices of homes are going to decrease because they feel, hey, the realtor is getting paid makes it higher for buyers to buy. And that's not the case. What this establishes is now that there's business is going to be done a different way. The buyer's agent is now going to receive have to structure some type of compensation for themselves in an agreement with the buyer in case the seller and the listing agent do not want to compensate them for bringing the buyer and purchase the home, right? Sellers think they won, but they didn't. Even in the class action lawsuit, $418 million, right? If you're eligible to receive a portion of that, congratulations, you will receive between 10 and $100. Yes, the sellers will receive 10 and $100. The big winners in the case are the attorneys and the person who filed the class action suit. So what did this mean for you guys as buyers? And most of my people on here are home buyers. What this means for you is now you have to sign you as of July 1st of 2024, you're going to have to sign a buyer's agency agreement with your real estate agent that you participate, that's going to represent you. And they're going to have to, in that in that agreement, there's going to be some form of compensation in case they don't get paid. So that's the crux of things right now. A lot of people are scared. Do they wait until they find out the exact changes in the market? Do they buy now ahead of the changes in the market? What are some of the things that you're going to see in the market? That's one thing in the market, right? The other thing in the market right now is over the last couple of weeks, we've seen interest rates increase. I know the Federal Reserve announced last year at the end of the year that they were looking to make interest rate cuts, to make interest rate through cuts over the course of 2024. So we're in quarter two, and we have not seen a interest rate cut yet. Doesn't mean it's not coming. We just haven't seen it yet. So for those of you who are out there who were wondering, hey, aren't interest rates going to be cut anytime soon? We don't know, because initially they thought they would have made at least one interest rate reduction or cut by the time, end of quarter one started. Inflation, jobs reports, all of those things that play into it have not come back the way that, the Federal Reserve feels they should be. Federal Reserve, which chairman, which is Jerome Powell, who governs it. I mean, Jerome Powell, who governs it. So with that being said, some of the questions that I've been receiving from buyers lately is, how do I tell which real estate agent I pick? This has been a huge question that I'm starting to get from buyers. You need to interview your real estate agent the same way they want you to interview your lender, right? All real estate agents are not created equal. All lenders are not created equal. Get myself situated, guys. There are some real estate agents who, are out here just to make the sale and not necessarily service the person the way they should, right? Um, there are also agents who are not as knowledgeable about certain situations in the home buying process. And you need to make sure that the person who's representing you to make the largest purchase you've ever made in your life knows what they're doing, whether it's family or friends. Like, you really need to interview this person to make sure that they have the ability to guide you through the largest purchase of your life. You also need to make sure you interview with someone who is knowledgeable with your circumstances, right? You have to, and they sit down and have something called a buyer's consultation with. A buyer's consultation is where the agent sits down with you and they go over what their responsibilities are to you and what's required of you to them. Not only your requirement to them, what's your requirement on the buying side of purchasing a home? Obviously, the first thing is to get pre-approved with a mortgage lender, right? That's the number one thing. No agent wants to go out and show someone 500, $600,000 houses and the person only qualifies for 200,000. That's not a good use of their time. That's not a good use of your time, right? So one thing that's required of you is to get pre-approved with a mortgage lender. Required of them is to be able to give you feedback and positive or negative feedback on the process of home buying, and they need to be knowledgeable in what's going on in this current market. Having a strong team with a realtor or real estate agent, because they're two different things, right? Realtor, real estate agent, and a lender will help you help you win bids, right? Do you need someone that's available to you 24/7? I'm going to say no, right? Yes, you want someone that's responsive, but let's remember these people have other clients as well as life. And what you want to make sure is that that person responds to you in a timely fashion, but also responds to you and gets you the answers that you necessarily need. That's the biggest thing. You have the same ability to interview your real estate professional as they want you or tell you to look out for two or three lenders. That's one of the biggest questions. I've talked to buyers who have not had great experiences with agents. They feel like they don't respond in time. They feel like they are in it for themselves. And as a buyer, you need to have a conversation with the person and let them know what you expect of them, as well as them wanting to expect, what they expect of you. The next thing is, hey, Kevin, is the market going to crash in 2024? There's no signs of a market crash in 2024. Currently, we are currently 7.2 million homes short in this market, homes that we need for buyers, right? So when there's a market crash, that means that there's high supply and low demand. In this market, we've got the reverse. We've got high demand and low supply. So the likelihood of it being a seller's market, the likelihood of it being a market crash right now is slim to none. So you want to make sure you're not waiting on the sidelines. I've had people who mention a market crash since 2020, and here we are in quarter two of 2024, and no signs of the market going down. Matter of fact, the market is continuing to grow, you know, 3.5% over the course of the year. So there's no signs of home values going down, right? Let me give you a little bit more context. Over the last 70 years, there's only been 6 times that home prices have decreased. So think about it. Over the last 70 years, only 6 times have home prices decreased. So you have more of a likely chance for home pricing increasing than decreasing. One of the most recent and the last time that home prices decreased was during the Great Recession, which was caused by an abundance of things in the real estate market, and then there was a huge supply of homes available on the market, which is the opposite of what we have now. Hey guys, if you are new to the channel, again, welcome. If you're just joining, give me a thumbs up. We've got 11 people on the live. I should have 11 likes on this video. It doesn't cost you anything to like the video, and it helps me push the video out, helps YouTube algorithm push the video out. Also, if you're on this live and you are new or reoccurring and you're not a part of our Facebook group, do me a huge favor and join our Facebook group. We are interactive. We interact 5 days a week, sometimes 6 to 7 days a week. We have trivia, mortgage tips, winning Wednesdays. We're starting to see more people in the group go under contract, more people in the group purchase homes. We've got a couple people in the group who are closing on homes in the next couple of weeks. So we're winning on Wednesdays. We learn about FICO on Friday, trivia Thursday, Tech Tuesday, and Mortgage Monday. So, guys, please do me a huge favor. If you want to gain some knowledge or be a part of this group, the link will be below for you to join the Facebook group. Um, the next thing is we have a newsletter. If you are if you are not a part of our newsletter, you need to join it. On 2 days a week, 2 times a week, we send out newsletters pertaining to videos, lives that we have coming up, different events we may have coming up. Um, it also allows for you to get information from the group, and it's an exclusive group. You have to sign up for it. The link will be below. So definitely check in or check out our newsletter and our Facebook group. Both of the links will be below. If you're also a returning subscriber or new and you have not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you can get notified every time we go live. Again, we are talking about home buyers questions. If you have anything pertaining to home buying, anything pertaining to questions you may have about the market, drop them in the chat below. I see we have 13 people out here in YouTube land, so I know you guys are here for a reason. I'm taking this time today to answer your questions, and I see Miss Boone has a question, so I'm going to jump on it. Uh, After being pre-approved and leases up in 6 months, is it too early for a realtor? That's a great question. It's not, it's not too early for a realtor. So you want to start to prepare for what's coming up. You want to get to know the agent. You want to make sure, like I said, you want to interview them. It's like you're going on a date, you're courting. You're courting that person to make sure that's somebody you want to work with. You want to make sure that you have the right fit and the right person that's available to you, that's going to be able to help you. So I will be real with you. Is 6 months too long to have too early to work with an agent? I say no. But what I am going to tell you is because there's a 6 month time period, you're probably not going to get most of the times you're not going to get the interaction that you want from the agent because they see you as a future buyer and not necessarily now. That's typically just how people work. They work off of, okay, what's going on now for me? But it is the good to make contact. Glenda, I have a realtor. You actually have two in that area that I'm gonna refer you to. I will reach out to you tomorrow. But that's a great question. Origination charges for a loan. No, that's not too high. That's about 2 points. Uh, so the origination charges are $3,106 for a loan amount of 159,000. Oh, so you're asking why so high? It just depends on the lender. It depends on a few things. It depends on the lender that you utilize. It depends on the program that you're using, but it also depends on your credit score. So one thing is it origination charges or is it discount points? Because origination charges are usually like 1% to originate the loan. Discount points is what it costs to get the interest rate or to participate in whatever program you're participating. But on a $156,000 house, are those charges too high? No, that looks like it's about 2%. And typically, when you have lower loan amounts, it costs more to do the loan. It costs more for the lock. So that may be why you're being charged 2 points. I would, if you want me to, if you reach out to me, my contact information will be below. I'm willing to jump on a call with you, or if you can email me the fee sheet, I can take a look at it and possibly see why, to see why you're getting charged 2% origination. But typically it's one of those things that I said, see your credit score, the program you participate in, or the loan amount in the company that you're dealing with. All right. Blaine, what's the difference between a pre-approval and a conditional approval? Good question. So pre-approval is when you do the loan application, you submit the documentation, and we look at all your documents, make sure you have the bank statements, pay stubs, tax returns, W-2s. We make sure we verify your income. We run the file through desktop underwriting, and we see if we can get an approval through the automated system called DU. You'll hear it called DU. That's the pre-approval. Conditional approval is the same thing, except you go a little step further. You take a conditional approval and you then you take a pre-approval, and then if the buyer decides that they want to go with you, or go with the lender, then they submit that file to processing and then to underwriting. What's the benefit of it? The benefit is that that will allow for you to be able to close faster on your loan. Why? Because you've been through employment underwriting, you've been through credit underwriting, the only thing you're typically going to be waiting on is a contract for the property as well as an appraisal so you can go through final underwriting and make sure we've dotted all our I's and crossed our T's. A conditional approval is stronger, but all lenders don't do conditional approvals. I did a video on that of why all lenders don't do conditional approvals because if you have 100 people looking to get conditionally approved and then you have 50 contracts come in and the contracts technically supersede the conditional approval because those contracts have dates. So some companies do offer conditional approvals. Some companies do offer, the pre-approval. Me personally, when I underwrite a file, I underwrite it. I pre-approve a file from the standpoint of an underwriter to make sure that everything is solid. Occasionally, you go in and the underwriter looks at it a little differently, and they make sure that hey, we need X, Y, Z, right? You've even seen where you've had a conditional approval and it's went back in underwriting and the underwriter missed something in the beginning and then it comes up during your time period. So a pre-approval is a solid approval. You can go out and find a home. A conditional approval, you can close a little faster or it's just a couple steps ahead of the pre-approval because it's been through processing and underwriting and now I'm just technically waiting for a property and an appraisal, and then you'll be able to close. Hopefully that answers your question for you, Blaine. So you said points, 375, $376 origination fee, no breakdown. I'll reach out to them. Yeah, find out if you can get a breakdown. So please charge origination. There's processing and underwriting fees that are charged as well. So that could be sometimes they enclose it into one fee, so it can be paid. Sometimes it's broken out. It just depends. But you definitely reach out to your lender and if see why your origination charges are 3,100 bucks. Softer side of CC. How you doing, man? Do you have to pay for a credit report to get pre-approved? I had a lender tell me every lender charges for a credit report. That is a great question. So, yes and no. So the market has changed. One thing that's happened is a lender can charge upfront for a credit report because that is a way of, sometimes the cost of doing business. So by charging the buyer up front, they're just not pulling credit and then the buyer goes to someone else, right? Because every time credit is pulled, the lender is charged for the credit pulls. Over the last maybe 6 months to a year, us as lenders have seen credit reports go up. And with more people applying, that means you have a heftier bill, but with more homes selling, less homes selling, that means you're not making as much. So you have to decide, hey, how am I going to offset the cost of this credit report bill? Because whether that person sells you a house or if they pull 100 credit reports in a month and they don't sell any houses or they don't close on any loans, they still have that bill. So a way to mitigate that is by not necessarily freely giving the credit report away, is charging the buyer, who then at that point you determine if this is a serious buyer or not, right? So that's one way and one reason why lenders aren't charging for a credit report. The second way is some lenders don't charge for credit reports unless they're closing on the loan. So if you decide, hey, I'm going with Kevin, I'm pulling your credit, there's no upfront fee. Then when we close on your loan, a part of your closing cost charges is credit report fees that you get charged. All lenders, when you close, whether it's banks, credit unions, brokers, retail shops, correspondents, they all charge a credit report fee on your closing disclosure or estimated closing fee sheet. They charge for a credit report because that's the way they can get compensated. Not compensated, that's the way they can recoup their credit report charges. Uh, See if I missed any questions. So, hey guys, if you're out there listening, drop your questions below. We are talking about Q&A for home buyers, whether you should buy now, wait. And then we'll also discuss answering any questions you have, any questions pertaining to homeownership. So I want to tell you guys something. There is something called trigger leads, right? When you apply with a mortgage company, the mortgage lender only pulls your credit one time. So when the lender pulls your credit one time, you get a pull on Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Those three credit agencies. However, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax have sold something called trigger leads, which means, hey, Bob Jones applied for a mortgage. They don't have your credit report. They don't know who you applied with. They don't know your scores. They don't know your income. They don't have your document. They sell that information, not your credit reports and stuff, but they sell the fact that you pulled a credit report for a mortgage to hundreds of companies who are buying leads looking to generate more business because the market is somewhat slow. So what does that mean for you? That means that I pulled your credit report, and all of a sudden you're getting text messages, phone calls, and emails of people trying to reach out to you saying, "Hey, I've even had people say, "Hey, I work with your mortgage lender," and then the buyer says, "Oh, Kevin, yeah, Kevin, and he wanted me to reach out to you to grab your documents to work on your loan." My company and my team will never do that. In the beginning, you're always going to talk to me, and if you don't talk to me, I'll let you know ahead of time. I'll be away. This is who should be reaching out to you, and I'll always be copied on the email when someone requests documents from you. So what you can do to avoid this, if you're in the market and you're looking to purchase a home and you do not want to get confused, bombarded, or scammed by a ton of people, below there will be a phone number and a link to an email address, a website where you can go and get on the do not disturb list as well as opting out to sales calls. Because if not, you're going to get bombarded with a ton of calls and a ton of emails and a ton of texts, and they are relentless and they do not let up. And I've had clients who have gotten confused and paid for credit reports upfront, and they thought it was their company, and it wasn't even me who pulled the credit. They just happened to come to me the second time, and it's frustrating and it's confusing. And all of a sudden, borrowers stop answering the phone because they're bombarded with calls. That link will be below. It is called True Leads, and you want to make sure before you apply, if you have not applied yet, before you apply, you want to make sure you get yourself on a do not call list. You want to make sure you opt out to that type of mail that you'll receive. Does it stop everyone? No, but I'm pretty sure it gets rid of 95% of the people. I always tell my clients now because it's starting to pick up. I tell my clients, hey, if they say they're reaching out for my team or they're reaching out, just ignore ignore them. If they text you, hit stop so you can unsubscribe. Unsubscribe if they send you emails, because if not, you're going to be bombarded with calls and you're not going to pick up at the right time. Is it better to ask a seller for closing costs for repairs or to ask them to do the repairs? That is a great question, Blair. Um, so when you go through the process, you're going to get an home inspection, right? The home inspection is going to list potential things that need to be done. That's one inspection, right? Next is you're going to get an appraisal. If you're doing FHA, VA, USDA, or conventional, the appraiser is going to do, I call it a mini inspection. there's certain things that have to check boxes depending on the type of loan that may need to be done or may not need to be done to pass the appraisal, right? Which means it can be done as is or it's required of the seller to pay. If it is an appraisal required, meaning in order for this appraisal to be approved through our underwriters, the work has to be done in advance and there's no negotiating and having it done later. If it's something that you want it done, then that's between you and the seller, and you have your agent negotiate that. Sometimes I've seen people negotiate it where they just get additional closing costs, and then they take care of it later with their own funds. And then I've also seen it where, hey, I want this done before closing, and it gets done before closing. And if that happens, typically we have an inspector go back out and take a look and make sure the repairs are done. So either way works. It just depends what the repair is and how much we're talking. But which one is better? I don't think one's better than the other. I just know that you want to make sure if you have some concerns, you want them addressed either financially or you want to have those repairs done in a specific period of time prior to closing on the home. Hey guys, again, do me a huge favor. If you are new to the channel, first of all, we got 16 people on the live. Give us a thumbs up. I need at least 16 thumbs up. When I look, I need at least 16. Right now, we need at least six. We should have 16 likes on this video, right? If you're new to the channel and you have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when I go live. And if you are out there and you're sitting and listening, and you have questions, just drop them below. I'm here for you guys to answer any questions that I can live about home ownership. Is it a good time to buy? Even if you're out here and you already own a home and you have questions about refinancing, you have questions about HELOCs or home equity lines of credits or getting into investment properties, I can answer those questions as well. Also, guys, don't forget if you are not a part of our Facebook group, the link will be below for you to join the Facebook group, as well as our weekly newsletter that we send out. Just to give you a heads up, we do not send you information on the weekly newsletter. We do not spam you and send you a whole bunch of emails. Everything that we send is going to be pertaining to something on home ownership, maybe a webinar we're having, a live or video that you missed, or a topic pertaining to home ownership that we think is essential and important to you. So again, if you have questions, drop your questions below. I do want to discuss. A few other things, right? So one of the other questions is, hey Kevin, if I am looking to utilize a first-time home buyers program, excuse me, or a down payment assistance program, do I need to live in the property? Yes. If you utilize one of these programs, FHA, VA, USDA, and you utilize one of those programs with a low down payment or no down payment, and you don't live in the house, that is called mortgage fraud, right? If you utilize the down payment assistance program, a first time home buyers program, and you do not live in the house, that is called mortgage fraud. So you want to make sure if you're trying to participate in one of these programs um, that you will be occupying the property. All of those loans have a question when you sign the documents. Will you be moving in and occupying the property within 60 days of closing? So you want to make sure you do the right thing and say the right thing. If you are not intending to move into the property and you would like to try to be an investor, just talk to your lender and let them know, hey, how can I get into an investing in property with the least amount of money down legally, the right way, right? The right way. So that question has been coming up. How soon do I need to move into the property? Within 60 days of you closing on the property. Um, Another question I've had people ask is, Do you think that interest rates are going to go down? Or no, it's not that. The question is, should I wait until after the election? And my answer is going to be no. That you're going to see either way, whoever takes over office, you'll see some changes in terms of what they're potentially trying to do for the market. But for the most part, why wait? The best time to buy real estate is yesterday. And when that's the cheapest you're going to get it is yesterday, right? Meaning if the longer you wait, the more the higher prices get. People trying to time the market to see if they are going to get a lower interest rate, if the market's going to crash. A lot of those things you just can't time the market. No one has a crystal ball. They're ever changing. And what I would say is, you know, buy the house, and then at some point, if the market changes or interest rates go down, see if you're in a position to refinance. Which segues me to another question that I've been getting. Hey, when is a good can I refinance? I'm sorry. So the answer is in order to refinance, you have to remain in position to refinance. What does that mean? If you buy a house, we're looking at the current debts that you have. If you buy the house, you close or settle on the house or go through escrow, whatever you guys call it in your area, and then you go out and buy a car, now you have a new mortgage payment and another car payment. We factored in the mortgage payment, but the car payment was not factored in. So now that you're factoring, let's say a $700 a month car payment, now all of a sudden there's $700 less of mortgage debt that you can incur. So if you were marginal when you purchased and you haven't increased your income by $700 a month or more, and you have a $700 liability, 9 times out of 10, you will no longer qualify to refinance for the home. At least not doing a cash out refinance. You may be able to do a rate and term refinance, which just helps you lower the rate, but for the most part, if you're looking to pull out cash and refinance, you want to make sure you stay in position to refinance. If it's just you on the loan, this is the tip. If it's just you on the loan and you have a spouse and you need a new car, get it in the spouse's name. That way, when you go to refinance, you can refinance because you haven't incurred any new debt. Hopefully that helps. Blair, how do you determine if a buyer or seller's market in your local area? Um, that's a good question, Blair. Right now, in most areas, it is a combination of both, right? Housing prices aren't dropping, but sellers understand that, hey, in order for me to sell my home, I'm going to have to give something. I'm potentially going to have to give closing costs, maybe to do a 2-1 buy down, or maybe offer some type of extra incentive to an agent for bringing a buyer, maybe a buyer's bonus. So in your market, have a conversation with your agent and say, hey, listen, what's the flavor of our market? Because even though real estate, you're here on a national stage, and I'm talking nationally right now, it's localized. What works in Georgia is different than Texas, which is different in Delaware, different in Wisconsin and Florida, right? So have a conversation with your agent, which goes back to what I was talking about in the beginning, having an knowledgeable agent, and ask them, hey, what is the market like? One thing I would make sure you would do, if there's multiple offer situations, I would not try to offer less for the home and ask for closing cost assistance. What do I mean? If the home price is 300,000 and you want to offer 280 and ask for $10,000 in closing costs to the seller because the house is listed at 300,000, you're knocking off 20,000 and asking for 10 more. that means they're losing $30,000, right? So to the seller, they're losing $30,000. If you have a multiple offer situation, you want to come in with your strongest offer. Even I'm not saying to not ask for closing cost assistance, but if you're going to ask for closing cost assistance, maybe may offer a little bit over asking or at asking, and ask for the closing cost assistance. It doesn't hit as hard as you knocking it down 10 or 20,000 and asking for an additional 10 or $20,000. But just check with your agent. And even though it may be a buyer's market or a seller's market, it still pertains to the property as well. Because if it's a property that's in a pricing point where a lot of people are interested in the property, then you want to make sure, I mean, you're going to have to put in your strongest offer. So, answering your question, Blair, you need to make sure you talk to your agent about that and see what type of market it is. But in most markets right now, I call it a hybrid because there's low inventory, but they also understand that because of it being low inventory and prices being higher, they may have to give some on the side of a buyer's in terms of closing cost assistance. If the collection is over 3 years old and below $2,000, will it impact your approval? It should not. As long as it is as long as it is under $2,000, but it's $2,000 collectively. So if you got a collection that's 3 years old and it's $1,500, but then you got 2 other collections that's 500 and $200 a piece, collectively, those non-medical collections are over 2,000. So that's the difference if it's collectively, not just one. So if you have one collection that's 1,500 bucks and it's non-medical, then no, it doesn't affect your approval. If you have the $1,500, a $500, a $200, what you're going to have to do is one of three things: pay them off if you're not in a position to pay it off, some type of payment arrangement with those collections for a minimal amount. And know that, you have to make 3 on-time payments for those collections. You have to have it in writing in an agreement, and the debt it goes into your debt to income ratio, right? If you don't want to set up a payment arrangement and you don't have the ability to pay it off, then the lender must use 5% of the balance. They must use 5% of the balance as a way to offset it counting against you. So there's ways around it if you don't want to pay, if you don't want to set up a payment arrangement, but if it's over $2,000 collectively, something has to be used into the debt to income ratio in case it goes further than a collection. Sasha Williams, if a house is on the market for months, could that mean there's potentially not any offers on the house? Um, or the buyer and the sellers have not come to an agreement on it. So it's not necessarily that there hasn't been any offers on it. It could mean that no one has offered what the seller was looking for. No one's come up, gotten the terms that the seller wants. It could be a multitude of things. It also could be that the property's priced too high. It could be that there was a contract on it at one time and it fell through and no one else has put an offer back in on it. There could be a lot of things, but if the house has been on the market for a while, there's something to it. Price too high, or the seller's being picky with the offer that they receive and they're going to continue to wait. So there's a lot of things that could affect the fact that the house is still on the market. No problem, Matt. I appreciate it. Hey guys, these are some great questions. You guys are asking great questions tonight. Um, Another question that I have been getting is, can I utilize my 401k? So yes, you can utilize your 401k to help you purchase a home. Your 401k can be used as a down payment and or closing cost. So, you can do one of two things. You can withdraw from your 401k, or you can take out a loan. Either one works. If you take out a loan on your 401k, we don't count that into your debt to income ratio. And the other thing is that it does not, when you're paying it back, you're paying yourself back. So don't necessarily look at it as another bill. It's your retirement, and you're paying yourself back with interest. So that's helping grow your 401k. Again, guys, if you are watching the replay, give me a huge thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please go up and subscribe. If you're out there and you have a burning question about home ownership, where to start, and even if you're under contract and you have questions, drop your questions below. We are here to answer your questions. We've got about 15 good minutes left to answer any questions you have pertaining to home ownership, and we're here for it. Thanks for all the answers. How far back do lenders look to determine source of funds? 30 days before pre-approval or 30 days before closing? That's a great question, Blair. They typically look at 60 days prior to your most 60 days, right? Your most recent 60 days of bank statements, right? So your last 2 months of bank statements. That's what they're looking at. That's what they're looking for. Um, if I think they look for a couple of things. When they look for your bank statements, obviously they want the bank statement that has your direct deposit from your job. That's one thing they're looking for, right? The other thing is they're looking for any type of deposits that are not from your pay. So if you have a large deposit that goes into the bank on your bank statements, the underwriter or the lender, your actual lender, is going to ask you, hey, what was this $5,000 that was deposited on the 21st of March? They're going to ask that question. The reason why I'm asking is because they want to make sure that you're not receiving funds from someone. They want to be able to source your funds. They want to make sure you're not getting money from somewhere illegally. That's just being honest, right? Getting some funds from somewhere illegally to buy a house, and they want to make sure that your money is traceable, or that you can source those funds that you're using for the home. A lot of people have businesses, and I don't want to call them side hustles, but they have businesses outside of their work, and they deposit them into their bank account. I would say if you do have a business or side hustle that you do, I would say to have that go into a separate account. You can use those funds to pay for your down payment and closing costs, but if you don't have it on your taxes, you can't use it to qualify for more. So the banks are just making sure that you don't have any insufficient funds on your credit. They want to make sure that they're partnering with someone on this huge purchase that is financially ready and responsible to make payments. We understand that there's mishaps and things happen, but they just want to make sure that they're partnering with the right person. The other thing that's been coming up a lot on bank statements is the afterpay. Karma, um, Karma, what's the other one? Whatever, the afterpay, which means it's not even your credit. Buy now, pay later. You buy a cell phone. Firm is the company, right? You buy a cell phone and then you pay for it later through a firm. Monthly payments come through through your account, and the underwriter's looking at, hey, we see a reoccurring fee of $50 a month. What is that? $50 a week, or coming from, what is that? And if it is a afterpay, and then depending on the specific period of time that you have, we may have to count that payment into your debt to income ratio. We're going to have to source that bill, and most likely it's going to need to be paid off before you can close on your home. So if you're in the midst of purchasing a home, looking to purchase a home, and you're being creative, not gonna say being slick, but being creative in terms of acquiring stuff with your credit, but not using your credit, don't do afterpay because we'll find out in the end. Um, I don't know if that's BI or BL. Can you choose your mortgage payment date? So no. Yes and no. I tell you why I say yes and no. Most mortgage payments are due on the first of the month. Anywhere between the first and the 16th, you're not considered late. When you pay after the 16th, you're considered late and you get assessed a late fee. Now, being late is different than a 30-day late where it reports to your credit. When you pay after the last day of the month and it does not post, that is considered a 30-day late. Now, I know some mortgage companies may set it up where, for instance, I know people who have mortgages due on the first, they get paid on the third because they're on some type of social security or disability, and they get paid. That's fine, right? But you might want to check with your mortgage company. But technically, and for the last 20 years, I've seen mortgage payment due on the first, late after the 16th in terms of being assessed a late fee, and then late after the month changes. So if you want to pay on a certain date and don't want to be assessed a late fee, then that's but you could potentially do that. Just make sure it's before the 16th or you'll be assessed a late fee. What is the process of paying off private mortgage insurance and how is this a benefit? So when you're let me dispel a couple of things. So when you're using an FHA loan, you have mortgage insurance, which is assessed by HUD. When you are using conventional financing, you're using PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. Private mortgage insurance is typically the lowest, depending on your credit, it's the lowest payment that comes out of your mortgage payment. The benefit to it is if you have private mortgage insurance on a conventional loan, or let's say you have mortgage insurance in general on a loan, and the mortgage insurance is $150, getting rid of the mortgage insurance means that you're going to save $150 a month, right? The benefit is that your mortgage payment goes down. If you have an FHA loan and you put down less than 10%, your mortgage insurance is going to be there for the life of the loan. Now, a way around that is to refinance from an FHA loan into a conventional loan. And if you have 20% equity in your property, then you can, if you have 20% equity in your property, then we can drop the mortgage insurance when you go from FHA to conventional. If you have conventional financing and you have 20% equity in your property, you can call your mortgage company and say, hey, I have enough equity in my property. I'd like for you to send someone out to do an appraisal so I can see about dropping the mortgage insurance. The biggest benefit to not having mortgage insurance is that your payment's lower. Um, but it is possible, there's ways to buy mortgage insurance premium. It's been pretty expensive lately. And a lot of times people say, hey, that's when people say, hey, put 20% down so you don't have mortgage insurance. But in the scheme of things, let's say you buy a $200,000 house, being conservative, right? $200,000 house, you putting down 20%, that's 40 grand. Do you want to spend 40 grand to save $150 a month? That's something that you decide, right? If you do, cool, it works. For me, I'm gonna keep the 40 grand in my pocket and pay the $150 a month. So if something were to happen, I have money left over that can take me along the way and make my payments. So hopefully that answers your question, Glenda. Okay. So I'm a co-signer on my mom's car. I don't make the payment, she does. My lender asked me, could I get her bank statements, but she don't pay through a bank account. How can I get around it? So it depends on how she pays and where the funds come from. That's a good question. Um, she could potentially get a statement from whoever she pays her car payment through, showing that the payments came from her, but it's gonna be tough. Like if she pays in cash, it's gonna take some paperwork showing where the cash came from, and how she paid it, and showing that it came from her. So it's gonna be tough. I believe there could be a way around it, but it could be tough. The other thing is, if she makes the payment, see if she has the ability to now have the car in her name without you. Sometimes you have a co-signer because you don't have make enough money. Sometimes you have a co-signer because your credit is not in the position or good enough right now. And if it's been a specific period of time, then maybe she can get the car in her name now. So that would be an option to see if she has the ability to now have the car in her name solely and get you off of it. Hopefully that answered your question. Hey guys, so also I also want to ask you if there's ever any topics that you would like for me to touch on. Do me a huge favor, comment below. I'd love to hear your feedback on videos that you want to hear about pertaining to home ownership. I know I probably can't select them all, but it gives me an idea of what you guys are looking for when we go live or when we create videos for you. Again, hey, if you're new to the channel or you're watching the replay, do me a huge favor. Give this video a thumbs up so it can get pushed out through the YouTube algorithm. If you have not subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button. And I definitely appreciate all of you people who have subscribed, everyone who's reached out, everyone who's used me to close on the room. I definitely appreciate it. Also, if you would like to be a part of my Facebook group, click the link below. There will be a link below for the Facebook group. So we got a few things that's going to be in the description. The first thing is we're going to have a link to the Facebook group where you can join. The second thing is a link to our newsletter so you can be a part of the newsletter. Very informative, you know, if you missed the live, typically it gets sent out the next day or sometime that week that, hey, you missed the live and here's the link to it. Watch it. You get information on home ownership, tips and updates about the market. And then below, and this one here is probably just as important as the other two, is to sign up for the do not disturb list because if you're applying for a mortgage, you are going to get bombarded with calls on triple leads. I'm probably going to end up doing a video solely on trigger leads because it's important. The people who call don't have they're trying to get more business. Some of them are just very deceiving. They'll pause if you say who you work. You say, "Oh, I'm here to help you with your loan. We're trying to get some documentation. I need your credit card number so we can pull credit." Or like just different things. Or, "Hey, I'm working on your loan. I need this documentation." And you say, "I'm working on your loan with." And again, they pause and you say, "Oh yeah, you work with Kevin? Yeah, we're coming to get the paperwork." You see what I'm saying? Like, so they're very deceiving. Um, and you just want to make sure you don't get bombarded or taken during the process for paying for credit reports because you think they work with the company. So just make sure you tap in to that link. It will be in the description. You will be able to sign up online, call, get on a do not disturb list. And as you saw someone in the comments say that it was nonstop. So you want to make sure you do that in time so that when you do apply, that you do not get bombarded with calls. We got time for two more questions. I can take two more questions, then I'm gonna have to jump. Um, So Again, guys, I appreciate you for coming in on this beautiful Sunday. Hopefully, I answered everybody's questions. Um, and if you think this video has been helpful to you or helpful to someone else, do me a huge favor. Share it with at least 3 people. Share my channel with 3 people to help me grow. We're on a mission to educate more people on a home ownership process. It doesn't have they don't have to be buying now. And again, my team and I are on a mission to help 100 families this year to we're on a mission to help 100 families this year to become homeowners. If you would like a second opinion, if you would like to discuss with me the possibility of purchasing a home, I'm more than be willing to love to have a conversation with you. My link will be below to jump on my calendar. And for you guys who joined me tonight, I appreciate it. Thank you. Good night and God bless.